Government's mortgage rescue scheme is being scrapped this week. Although it has missed targets in the past, it still helped a large number of people. It actually helped 4,000 fewer than was expected in 2011, but it has helped 81 vulnerable people in Nottinghamshire avoid being evicted from their homes. Well, a Nottingham charity is warning that there will be a rise in homelessness as a result of the scheme's disappearance. Catherine was a working mum living on Nottingham's Whitemore estate, and she took out a mortgage 12 years ago, but illness and disability then meant that she faced losing her home until she heard about the scheme.
It gave me my life back, and it gave me my home back. It just got so out of hand trying to pay everybody with only having a little amount each week to pay. I was just living off, I think it was about £90 a week for me and my two girls. I just used to stay awake at night wondering what I can do, hoping that the house would sell. I was in a sort of like catch-22 situation that, you know, if I sold the house, yeah, I get rid of the mortgage, but I would still be homeless and would have enough money left over to go into private rented accommodation, and the only option would, for me and my two girls, we'd have to sort of like go on the housing list and then just wait for a house that was available, but that wouldn't happen till after we lost the house. The mortgage rescue scheme, you know, they told me that I could do this, and it just went from sort of like feeling utter despair, thinking that, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that I feel very sad because there must be other people out there in the same situation with me. It just seems ridiculous that the government are cutting back on a scheme which helps them and everybody else.
Catherine, a working mum who nearly lost her house if it wasn't for the scheme. Well, Kath Burton is a casework supervisor for the charity Notts Housing Advice. Hello, Kath, morning to you. How does it work then, this scheme? What happens?
What happens is the clients, the people with mortgage difficulties, approach the local authority or agencies such as Notts Housing Advice. We then do like a financial assessment, assess whether they're eligible, if they have a priority need for housing, refer back to the local authority. They refer to a housing association who then purchase the property from the client. The mortgage in majority of cases gets paid off, and they then pay rent to a housing association.
Right. So I mean, it is like selling your house, but you get to still live in it, basically. Yes. But you're paying presumably a market rent.
You're paying a below market rent to a housing association, so it's a little bit cheaper than private rented accommodation, but it enables the families to stay in their home. There's no disruption. You know, the impact of losing your home on a family is so significant that it sort of saves all that disruption, all that despair.
Now, you worry, don't you, about what's going to happen when the scheme actually finishes?
Yes, we do. I'm concerned that obviously the rise in homelessness, the rise in mortgage repossessions, without any scheme in place, then, you know, the impact, it could be quite devastating for some families, because mortgage rescue has been such a lifeline to them.
So what will happen if it's not there? They'll lose their home, presumably.
Well, if it's not there, we'll go back to, you know, we're reliant on negotiations with lenders, hoping that they'll look at all the hardships options available. But in many cases, people won't be able to remain in their homes as owner-occupiers.
Yeah. But they could sell their homes, couldn't they? So they still, you know, get some equity back from that, hopefully, and then they could rent, can't they?
They could sell their homes, but obviously selling your home takes time, and if the properties are in negative equity, if the market doesn't pick up, they've still got to meet those mortgage payments in the meantime, and if the income's not there, then the likelihood is if they can't afford their mortgage payments, arrears will rise and repossession will happen before that point.
I presume there's a cost to the public purse, is there, here? Is that why it's being scrapped?
There is obviously with any government scheme there is a cost, but it is a much cheaper option than, say, for example, having the property repossessed, going through the homeless route. Homelessness is an expensive route for a local authority to go through.
And you think more people will be homeless because of this, so they'll end up needing local authority?
People will need further advice from agencies such as Notts Housing Advice. They'll need more input from the local authority. There will be more approaches, because obviously when a family loses their home, if there's children involved, they are a priority need and they will need to be picked up by the local authority in most cases.
Kath, thanks for explaining your concerns. Well, BBC Radio Nottingham has asked the Department for Communities and Local Government to respond. Got a statement which says the scheme introduced by the previous government was time limited and has had a lower take-up than predicted. It was expensive and it offered poor value for money. However, last week's budget announced the enhancements to the support for mortgage interest scheme would be extended, including a shorter waiting period and an increased capital limit of £200,000 until 2016 for those eligible. I'm Andy Whittaker, you're with BBC Radio.